I don't know how much you want to get into this with what happened to Big E. Of course, you stayed in touch with him a lot. You were sort of my pipeline to make sure that everything was cool with E, even though like the dude broke his neck and still like I'm sure he's being flooded with a million different text messages, and for him to still like get back to everybody and let them know, yeah, I'm good,
Yeah.
whatever the response was via text message to
Yeah, it was
whomever. But
scary. It was
yeah,
scary, that's for sure. I wasn't watching because I was in the middle of something else, but when my text messages blew up
yeah,
and I'm like, they're like, "Did you see? Oh my God, how is he?" And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I saw the GIF,
yeah,
and then
that's what happened to me
immediately,
too.
my heart sank
Mm-hmm.
because I got really nervous because of the way it looked and the way his body, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm talking about? Like the way it shook
Mm-hmm.
after the impact and he
Yeah,
landed and he was on his back and the way it like convulsed real quick.
yeah,
That's what made me nervous even more. And I immediately started to reach out to a couple of people
mm-hmm.
and they got back to me like real quick. Thank God for that. And I appreciate that. And I thank them immensely for that. And I got the 411 and I was like, okay, there's some mobility in his hands. He feels tingling. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good
Yeah,
sign.
yeah.
Um, you know, Collar, hospital, great. I immediately jump on the line. I go, yo, you don't have to hit me back. Just when you're like, if you can, whenever, just let me know that you're okay or whatever. Because I was ready to get on a plane and go to Alabama. Like
Yeah,
that's my guy. You know what I mean? Like, and I think
yeah,
one day we have to really have that conversation because without him, there would be no us.
yeah.
So
I know.
I really have like I love him like my brother Vincent. Like
Yeah,
there's no like my mother calls him her son, and like he's been to my house for dinner. Calls my mom, my dad pop. Like I love him.
yeah. He's a
And
magical human being.
yeah, outside of just being magical, like I know him
Mhm.
13 years. So like to have like, and we talk every day,
Yeah,
all day. So when he texted me back, he was like, and then because then he made that announcement, like the whatever it was in his neck, and no surgery, great mobility, no nerve damage, and I'm like, all right, great,
what
like,
a miracle! What an absolute miracle! And I feel like that's the thing with this dude. That's like, I mean, when you say that Big E is this like magical human being, like truly, if there is some other being looking out for people, that was that moment. Because if there's ever been somebody that like deserves to like get a free pass and be like, you're good, we got you, that's what, like, crazy.
yeah, yeah, because the way you land that way with that much
Directly on
force,
top of his head. And Biggie is a big man, as we know, large
huge.
fellow.
So to me, I see that and my jaw drops. And then there's like, and then all these other cats hit you up, like, and most of them were like journalists, and I'm like,
Ew, get
I'm
the
not answering
out of
you,
here.
or
Yeah.
like these what I like to call hanger honors and the bootlickers,
Mm-hmm.
and like how like I didn't respond, like the genuine people reached out to me and like, is he okay? And I'm like, I don't know, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
then, you don't know what to think. And you try to be a positive person because you want to throw out the good juju out there because you want this person that you love to be okay. And you don't want to think the bad stuff,
Of
you know?
course.
But ultimately, like you think, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like you think like, oh, you think, is it bad? Is it fusion surgery? Is it something similar to Edge and Austin and Angle? Or is it even worse?
Right. Oh, it makes your stomach turn immediately. I mean, I was in the same boat as you, where like I was not watching live, but checking stuff on my phone. It's like, wait, I saw your tweet saying I feel sick to my stomach, and then I saw Amanda Huber say the same thing, and I was like, what happened? And that's when I messaged you. I was like, I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen anything. I don't know what happened. I had zero context of what had happened. I just knew that it was something involving Biggie. And I had not seen the GIF. I had to like search it and I was like, do I even want to see this? I don't know. But John and I, like, obviously I was, John and I were talking about it, and I was keeping him updated through you as well
Right.
of just like what was going on with the situation. But I mean, you look at somebody like E, for him to be so gigantic and go through something like that, but if he was not as strong and as thick as he is, who knows what could have happened otherwise, right?
Yeah, that's the scary part. And for him to go on Twitter immediately and then do a video,
Yeah,
it's like that says a lot, because it's more like, he could easily be like, I'm not talking about anything or anybody right
totally.
now, and I need
Yeah,
to relax and worry about me. He legitimately was like, let me just put this out there so
yeah.
everybody can just pump the brakes a little bit.
Totally.
So
I know. Even like, yeah, I mean, same as you. It's like I reached out to him. I was like, obviously not expecting him to get back. I'm like, you're going through some shit. And then to like even have a response from him to like take the time to like get back to the millions of people that were reaching out to make sure that he was okay. But I mean, it's really just like another example of like how dangerous wrestling can be. I mean, for it to be a belly to belly suplex, I mean, he's done a million times.
right, right.
It is really scary.
Well, it's like I told you, I don't know how you do it with your husband. Like
Right.
I've seen him go through plate glass with Nick Gage. I've seen him take a pizza cutter to the mouth. I've seen him bloody and bruised, and I'm like, oh, he's just gonna be fine, because you think like, okay, this is what they do. They're trained for this. They're
Yeah.
mentally prepared that they know they're going to do this. But you see some questionable shit, and when
Yeah.
when it's the person that you care for the most, your heart is in your stomach every time they go out there.
Can I tell you this though? The most difficult match I've ever had watching John do was him and Brian at the pay-per-view.
Why was that? Because of the wrestling itself?
Because they beat the
The
shit
shit out.
out of each other.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm watching it from home and I'm like, oh my God. And like, again, past my bedtime, and I'm like, and it was Sunday night and I was doing this shoot that I can't tell you about yet. I had to work the next day. So I'm like, just shoot me a text, call me when you're done. I just want to know that you're okay. And like, I do that after like most of his matches, just be like, we always talk like afterwards, but it was like an hour had gone by and I'm like, are you okay? Because like, yeah, they beat the ever loving shit out of each other,
They
plus
did.
slaps to the face from Regal on top of that, where I'm just like, oh my God. That truly affected me more because you could hear those hits landing, those kicks, that strong style. And you just know that, I mean, Brie and I, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, are we seeing this? Is this what the
Right. And then like that's my thing. At what point is enough? When and I asked your husband that question after I seen what he did with Nick Gage in Atlantic City. We're hanging out afterwards, and I'm like, John, I gotta be honest, bro. When's enough? Like
Mhm.
when are you just gonna just chill? Like
Did
you
he give
like
you an answer? Did he tell you?
he just looked at me, and and this is like the most like emotion I ever got. He just gave me one of these. When I figure it out, bro, I'll figure it out. And
Oh my God.
and then
Yeah.
and then we just went on to something else. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and I asked E that too, like, bro, when's enough? And he was like, I wish I could tell you. He goes, I wish I could tell you.
Well, listen, this is the way I look at it too. It's like, as much as there are times that I'm like, watching a match through my hands and being like, oh my God, like whether it's John or somebody else, these guys love what they do. This is their entire livelihood. And for that to not be a thing for them anymore, or to like walk away and be like, okay, I've made enough money, or I've checked off these bucket list things that I wanted to do. It's like, it doesn't really work like that. It's you have these other goals and your goals change throughout the duration of your career. And now there's these new things that you want to do, or there's this new guy you want to work with. There's so many different things that change, and that's like the thing that keeps them going. And as much as I don't wrestle, I still have like other goals, and I'm constantly like, my stuff is always changing all the time. Like I can relate in terms of that, of like, you love what you do so much. You live and breathe it. Even when you're taking a break, and having downtime, it's you, whether it's him listening to a wrestling podcast or he's watching like old WCW or watching old New Japan or whatever it is that he happens to be watching. It's like, it doesn't go away.
Right. And that, listen, I respect guys like that. And I respect women like that say this is what I can't walk away from. But my question is, at what point do you feel like you age? Because we all age out of everything. Like
Sure.
there's a time and a place. And my question would be, like, specifically, we'll just use John as an example. Like, yo, like you're in your early 30s, and
Mid to late 30s.
yeah. Well, he's I'm a little bit older, so I'm more on the cusp of 40 than he is. But it's like, yo, how many, like, don't you want to like just hang out with the kid, the wife, and not make it hurt when you got to get up out of bed?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
So that would be just be, as somebody that just loves and respects him.
Of course.
It's like, how long does it take you to get out of bed? Like, my dad was a union construction worker, like herniated discs, neck, back, the whole nine, needs double knee replacements. He's shot. And I used to hear him get out of it. Used to be a process to get out of bed because he was so stiff and sore and beat up, but he knew like he had to go out and go to work and do a really grueling job.
Yeah.
And it's like, now he's like retired, and I asked him, would you do it again? And he goes, to provide for my family, in a heartbeat.
Of course. So,
I get it.
I always will remember, like, very early on, John and I dating, and me sort of understanding more of like what his body has been through. Because it's like, it's one thing to watch and be a spectator and also just like enjoy professional wrestling and blah, blah, blah. But I always remember it was like early in the morning and he was getting out of bed, just like walking to the washroom or whatever. And the limp that he had, I was like, are your legs uneven? What is going on right now? Why are you walking like this? And I was like, oh shit, you're beat up. I don't know what match it was he had before. If it was a pay-per-view the night before or what. But I mean, he is not a mail it in kind of guy. We know that. I mean, no matter what the situation is, he's never just going to mail it in. He's got that integrity to stand by.
Stud. That
but I mean,
beefcake.
yeah, I know. What a hunk.
I want to see him in a pair of Gurkhas.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Especially with this like trim waist that he's working with right now. Like, a Gurkha could work for him because it's good for the thigh. You want to get him a pair of Gurkhas? Should we order him some?
Do we know his waist size?
Can you imagine John coming out to wrestle in some Gurkhas?
Wild Thing comes out and then you see him in Gurkhas, and I'm just like,
with a penny loafer.
I'm gonna be like, me and Renee hold influence. Suck it, TV world.
God, that's amazing.